On this week's show, the 2021 NFL season is now underway, and a champion is crowned in the Indoor Football League.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story behind the Cy-Hawk Trophy, which is played for between Iowa and Iowa State.
Oh, that's funny. They played this past weekend.
What a coincidence.
Yes, that and so much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 214 for September 14th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me for the past 214 consecutive weeks is my son, Adam.
They say madness, what's the saying about madness or insanity? It's just you keep repeating the same thing over and over.
Expecting a different result.
And expecting a different result. And I keep expecting us to be a good team for 214 weeks, and it hasn't changed.
We have different results every week. We have new scores. We have new stories.
That saying results may vary is very true.
We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show as well as selected video highlights. So let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football Scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start the scoreboard off with the NFL Scoreboard. It was Week 1. Finally, some regular season football in the National Football League.
A lot of good games.
This was a very good weekend for at least half the games, maybe even more. Let's talk about it. Let's get things kicked off where things got started. Thursday night, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeating the Dallas Cowboys 31-29. What a great game this ended up being. I wasn't sure how Dallas would be able to hang with Tampa, but they did. I thought Dak looked great. Dallas's defense looked good at times. Tom Brady looked good as always. And speaking of Mr. Brady, he has now got the most quarterback wins in Week 1 games since at least 1950.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not it. I mean, he's also the first player in NFL history to start his 300th regular season game. Mr. Brady.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you play, 20, 22 years?
Yeah, this is season 22 for him. Yeah. Other than, a nice back-and-forth game where both teams had some really explosive plays, I mean, what else is there to talk about this game? I think it was a great way to kick off the season. It literally came down to the end of the game there.
Yeah, before the game, I didn't give Dallas much chance at all, but Dak Prescott surprised me. He played extremely well for not having played in the preseason and coming off an injury from last year, and then
the added injury that he had that we saw during Hard Knocks, the arm injury on top of the leg injury we were all scared about.
Yeah, so I didn't give Dallas or Dak Prescott much chance. They really surprised me. They played a great game, but in the end, Tom Brady does what he does best. He leads the team down in the closing minutes to a winning score.
When I saw there was a minute and a half left, I was like, you gave Brady too much time.
Yep.
And that was their downfall.
Exactly, yep.
All right, moving on. The Houston Texans defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-21. Houston's defense had 3 interceptions in this game, and they had 3 interceptions all of last season. So take that for what you will. Good for Houston. I thought, Jacksonville would come out and have a better showing than this. But, I mean, hey, it's Week 1. Hard to really know what these teams look like. I think Trevor Lawrence, he'll be a good quarterback. You just got to give him a few weeks to really get warmed up.
Yep.
All right. The Washington football team fell to the Los Angeles Chargers 20-16. Another quarterback injury for the football team of Washington with Ryan Fitzpatrick going down. Tyler Heineke had to step in. We saw him play great in that one playoff game against Tampa Bay last season. But
that seems to be the whole theme of this first week. A lot of players getting injured in the first week.
Yeah, I mean, there's always injuries. It just depends on what the quarterback position is, the one where it'll get the most, noteworthy. And we don't know how long. At least last I saw, how long Fitzpatrick will be out. And so let the rumors start. Is Washington going to go sign Cam Newton?
Well, that is his former coach there, Ron Rivera.
And the Los Angeles Chargers head coach, Mr. Staley, he is the first Chargers head coach to win his debut since Norv Turner in 2007.
Wow.
So good for them. I like the Chargers. I like that Justin Herbert kid. So we'll see. I think they got a bright season ahead of them. Somebody else who's got a bright season ahead of them. How about Russell Wilson and those Seattle Seahawks? Just lighting it up in Indianapolis. Russ threw some great deep passes. Russ looked fantastic. The Seahawks beat the Colts 28-16, and the Colts got to see Carson Wentz. Glad to see him back week 1 after that injury on the second day of practice.
Yeah.
So Seattle now 12-1 in their last 13 games, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Wow.
So incredible for them. I mean, like we always talk about, going from the West Coast to the East Coast is usually a hard thing to do, but unless you're these Seattle Seahawks.
Nothing seems to faze them. They just keep going. They just keep winning.
Yep. And then next we had Sam Darnold getting revenge on the New York Jets as the Carolina Panthers won 19-14. And then Christian McCaffrey, who coming back from an injury last season, the star running back, it's his 5th career game with 80-plus rushing yards and 80-plus receiving yards. So good for him. Good to see him back. I know a lot of fantasy owners are happy to see him make his return.
Yeah, a little tidbit from this game. A lady by the name of Maya Chaka becomes the first black woman to officiate in an NFL game. She was at the Jets-Carolina game. She's the 3rd woman referee in the NFL. Good for her, breaking down some doors, and hopefully we'll see some more.
Yeah, hopefully. And then on top of that, we saw the great video that was kind of going around yesterday, the day before, of the Carolina Panthers intro video of a Panther running around the stadium and chewing up a Jets flag. So that was pretty cool.
It
and
was.
It reminded me, and I saw the video of this too, when the Ravens did this a couple years ago with a flying raven going through the stadium and looked like a dragon from Game of Thrones essentially. But yeah, so congratulations, Carolina. Good to see new quarterback in a new place getting a win, and we'll have another one of those later on we'll talk about. How about this? The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Minnesota Vikings in the closing seconds of overtime to win 27-24.
Yeah, I was looking at the score on my laptop, or you had it on your phone, and it just went down to the last second of
it. Did. I thought this was
going to be tied.
I thought it was going to be another opening week tie, and I think the Vikings have done this before. But yeah, 27-24. Joe Burrow looked great. Jamari Chase, who the rookie wide receiver they drafted, who was having a lot of problems during the preseason. Everybody was saying he couldn't catch a cold, and he had a great game too. He had a fantastic long catch, which is very reminiscent of their days in LSU, both those players. So that could be a dangerous hookup the rest of the year if these two guys stay healthy.
Yeah.
And the game-winning field goal, 33 yards as time expired in overtime. Wow. So what a way to win a game in week 1. Thrilling fashion there.
Yep.
And then you should be thrilled if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, because Kyler Murray was doing Kyler Murray things to the Tennessee Titans as the Cardinals won 38-13. Something I didn't expect was that Cardinals defense being as good as it ended up being, stopping Derrick Henry in that rushing attack, stopping Julio Jones and A.J. Brown for the most part. Man, oh man, the Cardinals could be a team to reckon with. And that NFC West, we've already seen the Cardinals win, Seahawks win. We got a couple more teams to talk about from the NFC West, but that NFC West is pretty good. Any thoughts from this game?
Nope.
All right, and this is also the first time in Arizona Cardinals history that multiple wide receivers have each had 2+ receiving touchdowns. So they've had a couple of guys. I know DeAndre Hopkins had a couple, so I think Christian Kirk might have had the other couple. But yeah, so those are your little fun tidbits from that game.
Good.
And then it's time to talk about the team that we love to hate the most, our beloved Detroit Lions. Fell to the 49ers of San Francisco 41-33. This was a game you got to watch the whole thing. Yep. I listened to the whole game because I was driving back from the Upper Peninsula, and I got to catch probably the best part of the game.
Yeah, the last 2 minutes.
By the time I got home, I got to catch the last few minutes on TV. But hey, they were down 31-10 at halftime. I
think it was 38-10
or 38-10 at halftime. So yeah,
31-10 at halftime.
Yeah, 31-10 at halftime. Yeah, don't correct me. I was right. So they were down, 21 points going into the half. I think at one point, it was 38-10, and the Lions found a way to crawl back and get within 8 points. They got an onside kick, which was unbelievable. Got the touchdown, got the 2-point conversion, and unfortunately, things didn't go their way at the end. The second onside kick, which, I mean, the odds of 2 onside kicks in the game are really tough.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if anything, I was really disappointed with the Lions for 3/4 of this game. And by the end, I have to admit, I kind of like their fight. I'm not saying, we're going to win a whole lot of games still, but at least, in one game, I know it's just one game, but Dan Campbell's, you're going to knock us down, we're going to get back. They got back up.
Yeah, they did.
They got back up after, struggling for a while, and there was some frustration on the defense, and the Lions lost cornerback Jeff Okudah, number 3 overall pick from last season for the year. So that'll be a tough one to come back from, but I think this is going to be a scrappy team. We might not win a lot of games, but I think as long as they can be scrappy, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
San Francisco, this is the most points they've scored in a Week 1 road game in team history. The 41 points, not a big surprise. We figured Detroit's defense wouldn't be, the best, but a lot of stuff to work on.
So many records by other teams being set when they play against Detroit over the years. Man.
And the 49ers, another one of those NFC West teams that are 1-0.
Yeah.
Moving on, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a win in Buffalo, defeating the Bills 23-16. Pittsburgh now 5-1 in their last 6 road games against Buffalo. Buffalo had a tough time with this. I was a little surprised how well the Steelers were able to handle the Bills. I think the Bills jumped out to a nice lead, but then the Steelers kind of were able to pull themselves back in it and then control the rest of the game. So
yeah, I was very surprised by the final score on this one. I thought Buffalo for sure would handle their business at home, but man, they did not this week.
Nope. So yep, Steelers back to. I mean, they had a great regular season last year. So let's see if they can, get back on that and hopefully they improve. Because last year, they fell apart towards the end of the season. So is it the same thing? A good Steelers team that's just going to fizzle out? We'll have to wait and see. It's Week 1, everybody.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles shocked the world, I think, giving the Falcons a 32-6 drubbing. First-time head coach, new starting. I mean, he's not a new starting quarterback, but a second-year quarterback. They got a lot of young weapons, and they blew the doors off the Falcons. I was a little surprised. Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Eagles, had 264 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and 62 rushing yards. So Jalen Hurts was doing quite a bit. He looked very, very good.
Yeah, that was another surprise. I didn't see that one coming either.
Yep, so who knows if the Eagles can keep that kind of, momentum going the rest of the year, if this was just a one-game thing. Is Atlanta that bad? Who knows? It's week, like we said.
Yep.
It's week 1.
It means, it tells you nothing about what's going to happen.
Not yet. Give it a couple games to really figure the teams out.
Yep.
This was a thrilling game. The Cleveland Browns fell in Kansas City 33-29. The Browns had this for the first half. This was their game to lose, and lose it they did.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you can never count out Mr. Mahomes.
Absolutely not.
So you knew he had to throw it, and he still beat you.
Yeah.
That's what gets me, is that Patrick Mahomes had to sling it, and you still couldn't beat him.
Yeah, I mean, he's good on the road, but man, don't bet against him at home either.
Yeah, and that home crowd, what a home crowd, too. They were loud. It was cool seeing all of Arrowhead filled up like that.
Yeah, that place was packed.
And don't knock the Browns too much. I mean, they looked great, and of course, towards the end, they couldn't get it done. But, I like Baker. I like, a lot of the weapons the Browns have, and I like that defense the Browns have. So, hey, it's one loss against a great team that's won a Super Bowl within the last couple of years, gone to 2 straight Super Bowls. So, Cleveland, a team on the rise and a team to still watch out for, but Kansas City, still Kansas City.
Yeah.
And for Cleveland, I mean, the unfortunate thing is you're 1-21-1 in season openers since you came back into the league in 1999. So,
well, not always a great start, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
This is very true. And somebody who knows that very well is Mr. Aaron Rodgers, as the Green Bay Packers got the tar kicked out of him 38-3. New Saints starting quarterback Jameis Winston throws 5 touchdown passes in this game, which is tying a career high. Yeah. And I mean, he also, I think they said for the 5 touchdown passes, he threw the least amount of yards of anybody who's ever thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game. It was like 164 yards was how much he threw for, or something like that. Just crazy.
Yeah.
But that Saints, he can dump it off to Kamara. He's got a couple of great receivers there to throw it to. So the New Orleans Saints not missing a beat without Drew Brees there. So good start for them.
Yeah, this was another shocker, man. Who thought that Green Bay would lose this badly in Week 1. I thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to come out with a chip on his shoulder and just show everybody that, I'm the starter around here and I'll be the starter as long as I want to be. Boy, that certainly didn't happen. I don't know. Like I said, this is just one game.
Right.
We'll see how they do in the coming weeks. But boy, Green Bay looked really bad.
Right. And let the conspiracy theory start. Is Aaron Rodgers sabotaging the Packers this season? Is it a full-on sabotage?
I don't know.
We'll have to see. They get the Lions next week, so if he falls to the Lions, then I think the conspiracy theorists will be right.
That's the cure for everything. When the Lions come to town, your season just got a big boost. So.
Yep, and on Monday Night Football nonetheless. So.
Yeah, I'm afraid for that one.
Right.
Oh,
all right, and then the Denver Broncos got a win in New York against the Giants, 27-13. Denver has now got a 68% winning percentage in season openers since 1970, which is the highest in the NFL. So if you're going to bet in Week 1, bet on Denver. Not much for me for this game other than Teddy Bridgewater, carry on the Broncos and the Giants. Still a young team that's got a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
So, all right. The Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots in New England 17-16. This was a very defensive game. I think Mac Jones looked great. Tua, was the lesser of the two quarterbacks, but his team found a way to come out and win. He even threw a costly interception that didn't actually end up costing them anything. One that you get kind of nervous about, but that team was able to, not make that a factor despite his mistakes. So good for Miami. They're another good young team to watch out for. In New England, and that defense is back. So don't count them out. So
okay.
All right, and then we had the Sunday night football game, which saw Matthew Stafford's debut as a Los Angeles Ram and was extremely heartbreaking for me to watch and heartwarming at the same time. It was cool to see Stafford having fun. I hated seeing him in a different uniform. But I think the Rams are going to be something special to watch.
This game went exactly as I thought it would. Stafford looked like a world beater. God, what did he have? He had like 300 yards passing, over 300 yards passing. But yeah, he looked comfortable. He looked like he belonged there. Unfortunately, for all of us Detroit fans. But I'm happy for him.
Yeah. I'm
rooting for him to have a great season, maybe even win a Super Bowl. And the sky's the limit for him out there.
We'll see. He had a couple of nice deep balls. Threw 3 touchdown passes during the game. I think he had as high as you can get passer rating. So shoot, sky's the limit for this kid. And then the Rams are 5-0 in Week 1. Under head coach Sean McVay. So another team to bet on Week 1 if Sean McVay is the head coach there. And last night's Monday night game, wow. Just wow.
Yeah, you got home from work in the fourth quarter, and I was still up. I'd had some Mountain Dew, so I was good to go for the rest of the game. And man, what an ending to that game.
That was a great ending. The Raiders took it in overtime, 33-27. And it was really complicated.
Yeah, it sure was.
It should have been simple. They threw a great throw that should have been, well, I won't say it should have been, but everybody thought it was a touchdown at first.
It looked like it was a touchdown.
Then they reviewed it, knee down at the 1 yard. Yep. So then I looked at you and I said, wouldn't it be crazy if they somehow screwed this up? You're at the 1 yard line. You essentially just thought you won. Everybody was on the field. Right. Like Eli Manning said during the broadcast, which we should talk about in a second, was Lamar Jackson was getting ready to take his jersey off and trade it to another player before we found out that they had to do another play. And, of course, false start at the 1 yard line. Takes him back 5 yards. Okay, whatever. Just gives you a little more field to work with, right? Throws a pass, Derek Carr does. Hits a Ravens defender, or I think it hits his own player in the helmet.
No, it hit the defender.
Okay, hit a defender in the helmet. Ball bounces up. Gets intercepted in the end zone. Ravens ball. Like, you got to be kidding. If you're a Raiders fan, your stomach just had to have dropped.
Yeah, and I figured all they got to do is go down and kick a field goal now. That's all it's going to take.
And with Lamar was doing some good running. They had a couple of nice throws. And they got down to about the 30, and then they fumbled it.
Yeah.
Then they just fumbled it.
He got sacked, or he tried to run.
I think a running back. Somebody got tackled, fumbled. Raiders get the ball back.
Yep.
So here you go, Raiders. You got a second opportunity, and you're in a position where you could just kick a field goal, but you run a play, and then you get some. I think they got it lined up just right. They had a nice field goal set up, and then they took a delay of game trying to get the kicker out onto the field. Like, didn't, like, even Peyton was saying, like, you yell kickoff or kick team,
right.
And where's your kicker? Your kicker wasn't out there. The kicker didn't know they were going to kick a field goal. He goes out there. Raiders take, because they have no timeouts left, take a delay of game, and then so instead the offense has got to come back out onto the field, and then Derek Carr just throws up this weird, just chucking it at the sky,
right?
Big arching pass. Guy catches it, touchdown. Raiders
he was so wide open. The defender missed his play or missed his.
Yeah, he was
assignment.
a couple steps behind the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept saying the Ravens were running that zero defense. You know, they didn't really have a lot of safeties in the back. They were playing to essentially blitz. Cover zero is what they said, and bit him right there at the end. But man, what a thrilling game this ended up being. I think everybody was just enamored with the craziness of events that, you know, hey, Raiders still won despite all penalties, delay of game, the interception, and they still found a way to win.
It was wild, yeah.
Overturned call.
Yeah, and when I was flipping through channels, this is while you were still at work, you know, I saw that it was on like two ABC channels that we get. It was on ESPN, and then I saw it was on ESPN2, and I thought, why is it on ESPN2? And I flipped to that, and there's Peyton and Eli doing their alternate megacast, which I totally forgot about. And so I watched that for a while, and at first I did not like it. I mean, I love Peyton Manning.
Oh, yeah.
I like Eli Manning. The two of them together work well, but for some reason I did not like this. They were talking about everything else but the game. You know, you had the game over here on the main part of the screen, and then on the side you had Peyton and Eli. They were in separate locations. Looked like they were in some kind of studios or whatever, not in their houses. But it was just weird. And then they brought in Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley on a Monday night broadcast, what's he doing there? And so it was just, they were doing all this shtick and just making all these jokes, and they had to get these stories in that they had, you know, pre-planned or whatever. And so I really, really didn't like it. And then late in the game, after you got home in the fourth quarter from work, we went back to it, and by then it was just the two of them. Well, then they brought in Russell Wilson on a Zoom call. So
by the time Russell came in, it was great. Russell was a good addition.
They were actually talking about the game. They were analyzing the previous play, and they were talking about what are they going to call next. That was what I expected from the whole thing. Not this early in the game shtick with, you know, Charles Barkley and just, you know, they're playing up to the cameras and everything. That I did not like at all. But by the end of the game, it was really, really good. Yeah. So, you know, I would watch it again, and they're going to be there Monday night. So I don't know if we're going to watch their broadcast.
I think we should at least record it, you know, and see what they had to say during the Lions game. You might have to watch a Lions train wreck game twice.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. I like I said, what I saw, I liked. There were some highlights of the earlier part of the broadcast that you were talking about, and I don't know. So we'll see. I think maybe they're just, you know, they just got to get their footing. It's week one. They got to get their footing. Yep. So that's it for the NFL this week. NFC North, 0-4. All four NFC North teams lost. Yep, 0-1. And then all the NFC West teams 1-0.
So the Lions are still tied for first place.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument that they're in first place in the NFC North because they scored the most points.
Right, but they also gave up more points than somebody else. So I saw two different rankings.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Depending on how you sort it.
Second or third place.
Yeah, so
in our minds, they're in first place right now.
No, I think they got to go up. We'll say they're tied for last place in the division, and they just got everywhere to go but up, or everywhere. You know the saying. All right,
nowhere but up to go.
All right, that's it for the NFL scoreboard for real this time. All right, it's time for the CFL scoreboard, and we have another football league to talk about on top of that. So let's get into it. It's week 6 of the Canadian Football League season, and Friday the Toronto Argonauts got revenge over the Hamilton Tiger Cats 17-16. Obviously, they played last week or earlier this week for the Labor Day games. Wow, I keep thinking it's the weekend. My vacations really screwed me up.
Yeah,
so last week, yes. There was a missed PAT by Hamilton with 1:24 left in the game, which became the difference maker as the ball hit the right upright, helping Toronto get revenge for a loss 4 days previously. Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle, what a great name to say. Nick Arbuckle was 23 of 37 for 236 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, he threw 2 interceptions, but he also ran for a touchdown to make up for it. So
didn't matter. They won the game anyway.
They won the game, and we'll talk about where that puts them in the standings, but that puts them in a really good position right now early in the season. Saturday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers got their second straight win against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 33-9. This was the Banjo Bowl game, a game that we have highlighted before in past history lessons.
The Banjo Bowl is a charity game where the winning team or the losing team pays money to the other city's United Way charity, and it's always the first time that they meet after Labor Day, and this happened to be 5 days later or whatever.
Right.
So this was the Banjo Bowl for this year.
Yep. So Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros was 18 of 22 for 278 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, and running back Sean McGuire ran 5 times for 5 yards and 3 touchdowns. So not too bad of a day for you if you're Mr. McGuire.
Touched the ball 5 times and scored 3 touchdowns.
In only 5 yards. So it's not like you had to run that far today.
Right.
You should be very refreshed.
Good blocking.
Yeah. Wide receiver Nick Dembski had 5 receptions for 134 yards, and wide receiver Kenny Lawler also had 5 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. So the Winnipeg, the Grey Cup champs, looking like the Grey Cup champs still.
Yep.
Looking like the team to beat. On Saturday, we had the Calgary Stampeders defeat the Edmonton Elks in a revenge game as well, 32-16 from their loss 5 days ago. Calgary quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell returned after missing 3 games with a fractured fibula to start his 100th CFL game. Mitchell was 23 of 42 for 276 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Kamar Jordan caught 12 passes for 159 yards and a touchdown. Good day for that guy. And then kicker Rene Paredes had 6 field goals. So good day for the kicker too.
All around good effort for everybody.
And then the Edmonton had Elks Head Edmonton had Elks Head logo on their helmet for the first time.
Yeah, you didn't see the
No,
highlights?
I didn't see this.
They had the antlers the first couple games. Well, now they actually have the same logo that's on the field, the Elks Head. Maybe I didn't write that
How
down
did I
right.
miss that?
Yeah,
you
they
wrote
actually
it
had the
awfully.
Elks Head logo.
You even
on
ended
each
a
side.
sentence with a comma instead of a period there.
Whatever. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. I kind of like that. I think they're kind of working their way back to getting the 2 E's on the helmet.
Oh, you think they're just trying to work with this other logo for a while? Then
the antlers. I never really got into the antlers.
It was a little too minimalist. I don't hate it, but
good. This one looked better. But it was hard to see. I mean, for a long time, I wasn't sure what was going on until you saw, a close-up of a guy on the field, and then you got to see the actual Elks Head logo.
Yeah, because, again, I was away all weekend, so I didn't get to see much of the CFL this weekend. Okay.
Stay home and watch football next weekend.
Don't tell me what to do. Maybe I'll go camping again just to spite you. Also on Saturday, the British Columbia Lions defeated the Ottawa Redblacks 45-13. You thought that this was some of the best highlights of the week.
There were so many great interceptions and great runs, and if out of the 4 games, this game had the best highlights of the weekend in the CFL. Yeah,
British Columbia quarterback Michael Riley was 22 of 26 for 319 yards passing with 4 touchdowns. In the second quarter, British Columbia wide receiver Lucky Whitehead returned a missed field goal, 119 yards for the touchdown.
That in itself was
you talked about that highlight.
Worth checking out.
Yeah. And then for Ottawa, quarterback Dominique Davis was 30 of 51 passing for 333 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, 333 yards in a losing cause. So it was a good game. Like I said, there was tons of great highlights, great catches, and just a lot of great plays in that game.
Yep. And then on bye this week, the Montreal Alouettes, who will have their next game at home against the British Columbia Lions. And with that, we'll quickly look at the standings in the CFL. In the West, you have Winnipeg up at the top there with a 5-1 record, a comfortable 2-game lead over Saskatchewan at 3-2, as well as British Columbia at 3-2. Edmonton at 2-3, and then Calgary at the bottom there with a 2-4 record. Over in the East, the Toronto Argonauts sit atop with a 3-2 record, followed by Montreal and with a 2-2 record, Hamilton in the 3 spot with a 2-3 record, and then Ottawa at the bottom with a 1-4 record. All right, then we had a title game in the Indoor Football League. It was United Bowl 12 as the number 2 seed Massachusetts Pirates upset the Arizona Rattlers, the number 1 seed, in overtime with a 37-34 victory for their first ever title in any league that they've been in.
Yeah. You brought this up on your phone.
Yeah, we were watching the Sunday night game, the Rams-Bears game, and we knew that the indoor game was going on, but we were so infatuated with Matthew Stafford that I won't say we forgot about it, but we were like, oh, let's check in on that game. And I pulled it up on my phone, and we were watching a little bit just in time to catch them going to overtime, and then Massachusetts getting the ball back and kicking the game-winning field goal. Wow, what a heartbreaking game if you're in Arizona.
That's the second year in a row they've lost in the United Bowl for Arizona. And I thought they were going to walk away with the whole season and everything this year because they looked so good most of the year. But I'll tell you,
Massachusetts got hot at the right time.
Yep,
we had talked about this for several weeks.
8 wins in a row to end the regular season. Went through the playoffs and got to the championship game. And from what I understand, this was a close game all game long, and went into overtime, and they won it on a field goal. So congratulations, Massachusetts Pirates.
Heck yeah. And, a couple years ago they had that documentary you could find on Amazon too. I forget the name of it, but it was all about the Massachusetts Pirates when they were in the National Arena League. Mm-hmm. So they've come a long way.
Yeah.
And congratulations to them getting their first title.
Yep.
And that's it for the CFL and Indoor Football League portion of the scoreboard.
Okay.
All right, then we're going to throw it over to Randy now for our college scoreboard. Man, the scoreboard is just big and beefy this time of year.
The scoreboard this time of year, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of great games and stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I had a tough time paring this scoreboard down to not include every game that I could find. But we're going to start with the top 4. In the FBS, it was number 1 Alabama over an FCS team, Mercer University, by the score of 48-14. There's been a lot of teams in the first couple weeks that are playing lower-level FCS teams, and so that's where your blowouts and
it's
stuff
essentially
come
their
from.
preseason games.
Yeah.
If you're the games that count, but it's essentially their versions of, let's get our team warmed up with a couple of patsies. So.
Yeah, well, you've got other schools in the top 10 that are playing, other ranked teams.
Right.
And then you've got Alabama playing.
That's what I'm saying.
FCS
Georgia started off, technically Alabama opened up against Miami. But still, I hate seeing Alabama, who's supposedly the greatest college football program in the country, playing a lower-level school like this. Like, no, you know what, Alabama? Put your money where your mouth is. I know you're the best program. We all know you're the best program.
Yeah.
Play some more ranked teams, dang it.
I'm sure Mercer appreciated the big bucks they got for coming up there and gotten their butts kicked by the number 1 team in the country. But still, I'd rather see Alabama have a little more competition.
Yeah, I would too.
All right, it was number 2 Georgia over UAB, 56-7. Number 12 Oregon upset number 3 Ohio State, 35-28, and it was the first ever win over Ohio State for the Ducks. They were 0-9 all time.
Yeah, what a game this was. I
never saw that one coming.
I was hoping it'd be a closer game, and thank goodness Oregon pulled it out, because when we were camping, I know my friend's a Michigan State fan, and she, when I saw the final score, I screamed that, and she's like, heck yeah, Ducks. Except she didn't say heck yeah, but we all felt great being in Michigan and hearing about Ohio State getting a big loss like that, especially being number 3. And that's something I realized. That's 2 weeks in a row the number 3 team has fallen and been upset. So is the number 3 ranking cursed right now? We'll have to find out next week. So there'll be some more top 4 shuffling after this. So
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity sometimes here in the state of Michigan. Are you a Michigan fan or a Michigan State fan? But the one thing that we can all agree on is we all hate Ohio State, and we all revel when they lose.
Yep, that's the truth.
All right, then it was number 4 Oklahoma shutting out an FCS team, Western Carolina, by the score of 76-0.
Oh boy. Oof.
In other top 25 scores, it was number 8 Notre Dame surviving Toledo from the MAC by the score of 32-29, barely coming away with a win there. And it was number 22 Miami of Florida squeaking past Appalachian State 25-23. Wow.
Yeah, so even the Appalachian State we saw due to Michigan several years back. So
yeah, and they weren't even an FBS team at that time. I think they were a lower level team.
Yeah, and so Appalachian State's always when you hear that name, you get a little nervous hearing like, oh no, did they do it again?
They've come a long way in the last few years.
Yeah.
They've gotten really good. All right, let's go on to some upsets. It was number 10 Iowa upsetting number 9 Iowa State 27-17. This was the Battle of the Cy-Hawk Trophy, and you're going to hear more about that in our history lesson coming up here in a bit. Arkansas upset number 15 Texas 40-21. BYU upset number 21 Utah 26-17. And FCS Jacksonville State upset Florida State 20-17. Wow.
Yeah.
Blowouts and shutouts. It was Tulane over FCS Morgan State, 69-20. Kent State from the MAC over Virginia Military Institute, 60-10. Number 25 Auburn shut out FCS Alabama State, 62-0. It was West Virginia shutting out FCS the Long Island State Sharks. They got a cool logo, by the way. 66-0. It was the University of Texas San Antonio shutting out FCS team Lamar University by the score of 54-0. And Western Michigan shut out FCS Illinois State 28-0. And I was there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm rocking my Western Michigan t-shirt today.
Yeah.
It was a great game. After being beat up by Michigan the week before, it was nice to.
Oh, it was nice to beat on somebody
see
else.
the team come home and shut out a lower team. So that felt really good. It was a gorgeous night there too. I mean, it was like 84 degrees when the game started, and when it was over with, it was after dark, but it was still 77 degrees. Just a gorgeous evening for football and a great time at Waldo Stadium. Okay, military academies. It was Army over Western Kentucky, 38-35, and Air Force defeated Navy 23-3. Now let's go on to some lower level spotlights here. In the FCS level, it was Jackson State, led by their head coach Deion Sanders, over Tennessee State with their head coach Eddie George by the score of 38-16. In Division II, it was Notre Dame of Ohio over Wheeling, 31-15. In Division III, Central of Iowa over Kalamazoo College here in town, 69-13. In the NAIA, it was number 9 Marion of Indiana over Madonna of Michigan, 80-3. Wow. In the National Junior College Athletic Association, our favorite team, the Snow Badgers, shut out Gila River by the score of 63-0, and that means that the Snow College Badgers have shut out their opponents 140-0 in the first 2 games of this year.
148-0.
What did I say?
You said 140.
Oh,
that last 8 points is important.
Yeah. It might mean something come playoff time. And then U Sports up in Canada. Yes, they play college football up there too. It was the Sherbrooke Green and Gold over the Laval Red and Gold, 23-17. And then they have a lower level football system up there. It's called the Canadian Junior Football League, and I thought this was interesting. I ran across the story. The Regina Thunder defeated the Saskatoon Hilltops 16-13, ending the Hilltops' 32-game winning streak with a walk-off 51-yard field goal. The Hilltops have not lost a game since September 9th of 2017. So congratulations to the Regina Thunder for ending that streak. And that is it for the college football scoreboard and all of our scores for this week. Man, so much football going on right now. College football in Canada, lower level games here in the States, NFL, CFL. Man, it's just so much to keep up on.
Yep. It even
takes that time of year.
Yep. Even takes up half of our show.
Yeah, really. All right. So, well, that's all the time we got for
that. Play the music out, boys.
What's that? DeAndre Cole from What Up With That? What's he always say? Well, we out of time.
Yep, that's pretty much what he says.
I love that.
If you don't get that reference,
I love that skit.
Go look up SNL's What Up With That.
What Up With That? God, there's like 9 or 10 of them, and they're all fantastic.
It's his favorite thing.
Oh, I love that.
If you want to be tortured on a holiday, give Randy the remote.
All right, in some NFL news, linebacker T.J. Watt signs a 4-year, $122 million deal with the Steelers, making him the highest-paid defensive player in the NFL. Do you think that's deserving?
Yes, very deserving. That guy, I mean, he's a playmaker. And I mean, obviously, he's got that Watt name attached to him.
Sure.
And I think
the lesser Watt.
I'm not even going to say that he and his brother are 2 of the best defensive players to play the game in recent years. So, kudos. I think the Steelers locking him up was a very smart decision.
Okay. 2 Ravens players, Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters, both tore their ACL in practice on Thursday before the first game, and they're supposedly out for the season.
Yeah,
what
crazy.
Is going on there when 2 guys in the same practice tore ACLs? And they had a third guy. I forget who the third guy was, but a third guy got injured last week and maybe out for the season.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm not gonna say they're just working them too hard. It's just one of those freak freak occurrence.
I always look at that and I think, well, what's the strength and conditioning coach doing? That's that person's job, is to make sure that they're building up the right muscles so that these things don't happen. And so that was my first thought was, are they going to be getting rid of their strength and conditioning coach? You don't think about that. You think about the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, the head coach gets fired, but the strength and conditioning coach is a pretty important guy too. I mean, if he's not doing his job and getting these guys toughened up to where they can handle the rigors of a 17-game schedule, that's the weak link in your organization.
Yeah.
So
who knows? I haven't heard about them firing anybody. Like I said, I think it's more of just a freak incident.
Could
or
be.
two. Just having one guy go down. I mean, it happens. Two guys in the same practice.
With the same type of injury.
With the same type of injury is, I won't say it's astronomical, but I mean, come on, they're all football players, and there's only certain kind of injuries you could really sustain doing that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I won't throw any blame anywhere other than just freak incidents.
Okay. This came out last night. This was kind of a shock. In college news, Clay Helton was fired as the USC head coach after a 42-28 loss to Stanford in Week 2. He was in his 8th season as the head coach at USC. Dante Williams will be taking over as the interim head coach.
Yeah, so 2 weeks into the season, and already here goes a big coaching search. And then now, if you're another head coach at one of these other universities looking to either jump up in the ranks, or if you're already a big name, you're like, well, this program's kind of going stale. Maybe I could, rejuvenate my coaching career over there. This is going to be a distraction, I think, for some guys.
I already saw a rumor that somebody said, is Urban Meyer going to be out in Jacksonville after one season and then go to USC?
Sounds like what happened when Alabama's head coach, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the greatest college football head coach's name?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Nick Saban, when he was with the Dolphins for that 1 year, then he went to Alabama.
Yeah.
And look where that got everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me if Urban Meyer's out after 1 year in Jacksonville just to go to USC, boy, watch out.
Well, USC was actually 1-1. They won their first game. I forget who they beat, but they were. I thought maybe they were 0-2, and I could maybe see it if you're 0-2 going into the heart of your schedule.
This just tells you, one loss in the season. Like they were looking for a reason. To get rid
I
of
think
this guy.
so. I think they wanted a change, and this was the excuse they were looking for. So, good luck to him finding another job somewhere. Now you know how I feel about fantasy football. I do not.
How do you feel about it?
I do not care for fantasy football. You are in how many fantasy leagues? 4, 5?
3.
3? Okay.
Hey, I won 2 of the 3 games this weekend, so.
But I thought this was interesting enough that we have fantasy football news for the very first time. 10,000 players on the Yahoo Sports platform are using the team name Bishop Sycamore. It is the #1 fantasy football team name on their site. The second runner-up with 7,000 users is Run CMC, which I had to ask your brother, what's that referring? And he said that's Christian
McCaffrey. Yeah.
I had no idea. But,
that's a good one.
So Bishop Sycamore, 10,000 users. Run CMC with 7,000 users.
Yep. My 2 of my 3 teams got victories this past weekend.
We don't care.
I'm ranked #1 in our league with the fellas from over at the Beyond the 55.
From the 55.
For the 55. I don't know why I always say Beyond. It sounds cool. Maybe you guys should change your name. Just kidding. You don't have to yell at me for that one.
Just for Adam, yeah.
But no. So it says I'm in first place. I had a really good week there. My team name there is Campbell's Kneecap Soup.
I like that.
Which
you have a logo for that?
I found somebody made a logo of Dan Campbell eating a Packers knee on a can of blue Campbell soup. Pretty good. I'd say my other. Well, I guess I could say my other team name. I have the Dark Knights, which I lost in my. I have a Batman fantasy football league I'm in. Yep, you look like you could care less. And my other team.
Wrap it up.
Is based on Jared Goff. So it's Goff and then the word UCK, yourself. So we got a victory there too. Despite Aaron Rodgers only getting 1.3 whatever fantasy points and almost ruining my shot at a week 1 victory. But despite that fact, I still got the win.
You kiss your mother with that team name, do you?
Of course. Hey, how about you just read my team name back to yourself and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, all right. All right, Eli's Places on ESPN Plus. I watched episode 2 this week, and this was a pretty good episode. I liked the first one, and I liked the second one too. This one was all about Heisman campaigns. You know how it's not enough to have a great season anymore. You have to have a campaign to win the Heisman Trophy, and they talked about how this started back in 1962 with Terry Baker from Oregon State. He kind of had a campaign where just at the time he was sending, or I think the school was sending out his statistics, because nobody was looking at Oregon State back in those days in 1962. So they were sending out his stats every week to the sports writers, the national sports writers, and they think that helped him win the Heisman Trophy. And then they talked to Joe Theismann, how he changed his name, the pronunciation, from Theismann to Theismann, because they thought, that might help him win the Heisman if his name rhymed with it. Didn't help. But then he and Larry Fitzgerald, Eli and Larry Fitzgerald, actually went to a place in Del City, Oklahoma, where the Heisman trophies are actually made.
That'd probably be a good one.
And they made copies of the Heisman Trophy for themselves, because they were in the same class, and they finished 2 and 3 to who's the Jason White?
Jason White.
Yeah, from Oklahoma. So, they both felt like, well, maybe we could have won it. So they actually made their own Heisman trophies and made a plaque with their name on it.
Oh.
And at the end, Jason White showed up and what are you guys doing? So it was a good episode. I never know that the Heismans were made in Del City, Oklahoma.
Well, add that to the World of Football travel list.
I might have to do that. I'd love to go there and see their facility sometime. But it's not just the Heisman. They make other trophies, like maybe the Maxwell Trophy, and a few of the other big college trophies are made there also. So
there you go. Even more incentive.
Yeah. So that was a very interesting episode. Very good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And then, thankfully, we had the last episode 5 of Hard Knocks. This episode was a total waste of time, I thought.
There's only one good part, and the one part that all we need to talk about is Dak Prescott meeting, what's his name? Kamara, the defensive back that got his kid.
Yeah.
And the kid's name was, I can't believe I'm blanking on the kid's name too.
Yeah, we didn't write it down, so we don't remember. But yeah,
it's been a few days since we've watched it.
In previous episodes, the kid wanted to meet Dak Prescott.
But he kept saying Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
But I think he meant Dak Prescott.
Right. And even when he finally got to meet him, he goes, "Oh, you're Patrick Mahomes." I mean, you're Dak Prescott.
It was cute watching Dak throw passes to him. Yep. And, Dak's a good guy. The kid was cute.
Yep.
So that was the highlight of the episode. It was kind of bunched in the middle of a bunch of just recaps. It's we already sat through the 4 episodes.
Half of the show was recaps of stuff you've already seen.
It was a waste, and we thought that maybe because of the lessening of the preseason games, they just had nothing but fluff for their typical 5 episodes. So fix that for next year, Hard Knocks. We don't want any more fluff that.
They should have stopped at 4 episodes instead of 5. They could have wrapped it up at the end by saying, "Well, this guy got cut, this guy got cut, this guy got re-signed."
Yeah, they all got back to the practice squad. That's what it seemed like. A lot of them got back to the practice squad anyway. So it was I don't know. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I liked the guys, but it was kind of okay.
Yeah,
so
you could have told us that at the end.
It wasn't really heartbreaking, really.
During the credits of the 4th episodes. Yeah, this was terrible. Because now you've got 3 preseason games, and they're still doing 5 episodes. Yeah. It didn't go very well, so I was not impressed.
Well, I still think you could do 1 episode before getting to a game, and then, 3 episodes. That's essentially what they did. 3 episodes for the games, 1 episode before, starting training camp. And then 1 at the end, they focused on the cuts, but then there was all recap. So, you knew,
just
stick to 4.
All you had to do was go to their website, and you would have known what happened to all these guys. So you had to wait a week to actually see it. But
right, we already knew. I saw the list, but I tried to ignore it.
Yep, it was a waste. So the 3rd episode this year was the best episode. They talked about some of the players that were on the bubble, but other than that, this was a terrible season for Hard Knocks. So I can't recommend it.
Start the Lions on Hard Knocks campaign for next year.
Oh God. Arena Football TV on YouTube. They're now up to 936 subscribers. They keep inching their way towards 1,000, and you can help them out by subscribing to their site on YouTube. Really great site.
Yep.
Always good content. And this week they posted a new game, the New Jersey Red Dogs at the Tampa Bay Storm from the year 2000. Eli Gold, my favorite arena announcer, was in the booth for that game. And the New Jersey quarterback was a guy by the name of Tommy Maddox. Maybe you've heard of him.
Huh.
He went on after this season with the New Jersey Red Dogs to play for the LA Extreme of the 2001 XFL and won their championship game, known as the $1 Million Game. And then he wound up playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2001 to 2005, and he got a Super Bowl ring as a backup to Ben Roethlisberger in Super Bowl 40 in Detroit.
I remember when Maddox was starting for a little bit. He had a few games where he looked really good with the Steelers, and then obviously they draft Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger takes him to the Super Bowl, but still good for that guy.
Yeah.
A name that I haven't heard in a while, Tommy Maddox.
Yeah, really. Okay, obituaries. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. And the first obituary this week is Sam Bam Cunningham, a running back in the NFL for 9 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 71. Cunningham played college football at USC and won a college football national championship with the Trojans in 1972. He was the 11th overall pick in the 1973 NFL draft by the New England Patriots. He played in New England from 1973 to 1982, but he sat out the 1980 season because of a contract dispute. He retired as the team's all-time leading rusher with 5,453 yards. Cunningham was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1992. He was also inducted into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame in 1992, the USC Athletic Hall of Fame in 2001, and the Patriots Hall of Fame in 2010. His brother is former NFL quarterback Randall Cunningham, which I did not know until I read this obituary. I had no idea that Randall Cunningham and Sam Bam Cunningham were brothers.
Related.
Wow.
Our next obituary is that of Robert Wettenhall, a former CFL and NFL team owner, and has passed away at the age of 86. Wettenhall was part owner of the Boston Patriots of the American Football League and later the NFL's New England Patriots. In 1997, he stepped in to save the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League when they were in dire need of money. The Baltimore Stallions had moved to Montreal in 1996 after winning the Grey Cup to become the new Alouettes team. But just a year later, the team was in bad financial shape. Wettenhall became the team owner, paid off all the overdue bills, and stayed oh my gosh, such terrible writing.
He stayed as owner of the team.
He stayed as the owner of the team until May of 2019. Trust me, it did not say all that. I had to do that myself.
Sorry.
Until May of 2019. Under his ownership, the team played in 8 Grey Cup games and won 3 of them, those years being 2002, 2009, and 2010. So he stopped being the Patriots owner. What year did they sell to the Kraft family?
I don't have that.
That would have been a great bit of information to throw in there. Good job.
Okay, yeah. Well, you can write that obituary next week. Next one is Mick Tinglehoff, a center in the NFL for 17 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 81. Tinglehoff played college football at Nebraska and signed as a free agent with the Minnesota Vikings. He played his entire career with the Vikings from 1962 to 1978 and never missed a game. He started 240 consecutive regular season games and played in 4 Super Bowls. Tinglehoff was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2015. His number 53 has been retired by the team, and he's also a member of the team's Ring of Honor. Not bad for a guy that was an undrafted free agent.
Yep. Always love stories like that.
Yeah.
All right, and our final obituary this week is that of Terry Brennan, a college football running back and later head coach, passed away at the age of 93. Brennan played college football at Notre Dame and won back-to-back college football national championships in 1946 and 1947. He was selected in the 5th round of the 1949 NFL draft by the Philadelphia Eagles, but he decided to coach high school football in Chicago and earn a law degree instead. He was hired as the freshman football coach at Notre Dame in 1953 and promoted to head varsity coach the following year. He replaced legendary Irish coach Frank Leahy. Brennan, who was just 25 years old at the time, spent 5 seasons as the head coach of the team from 1954 to 1958 and posted a record of 32-18.
All right, a couple of birthdays for today, September 14th. Wide receiver Michael Crabtree turns 34 today. He played his college football at Texas Tech and was the 10th overall pick in the 2009 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. He played 11 NFL seasons with the 49ers from 2009 to 2014. He also played for the Oakland Raiders from 2015 to 2017, the Baltimore Ravens in 2018, and the Arizona Cardinals in 2019.
See, phrasing is important. So altogether, yeah, that's 11 NFL seasons. But you said 11 NFL seasons with the 49ers, and then the math doesn't add up when you go from 2009 to 2014.
11 NFL seasons, and then
there's a comma there, which you ignored, and yeah, go back, listen to the tape.
In our other birthday for today, defensive back Anthony Dorsett turns 48. He played his college football at the University of Pittsburgh. He was the 6th-round pick in the 1996 NFL Draft by the Houston Oilers. He played 8 NFL seasons. He played for the Houston/Tennessee Oilers/Titans. This was a period when they were the Houston Oilers, the Tennessee Oilers, and then the Tennessee Titans. So but he was with them from 96 through 99 through that whole transition time. He also played for the Oakland Raiders from 2000 to 2003, and he is the son of former Cowboys running back Tony Dorsett. And that's it for our birthdays for this week. All right, I know it's early on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Anything pop up on your phone while we were talking that we need to talk about? All right.
Unless you want to talk about some Disney Plus stuff, which
No.
I don't think you do.
No.
All right.
Okay, well, let's go on to this week's history lesson. This past weekend, Iowa and Iowa State met in Ames, Iowa, in the annual battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. This week's history lesson tells the story of how that trophy came to be. College football rivalry games are always intense for the schools and fans involved, but in-state rivalries take that intensity to a whole new level. The in-state rivalry between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Iowa State Cyclones dates back to October 28, 1899. Iowa won that first game 5-0. The schools met 21 times between 1899 and 1934, with Iowa dominating the series, winning 16 of those 21 games. But bad blood between the teams and the fans caused the series to be discontinued between 1935 and 1976. The series would finally be renewed once again on September 17, 1977. In the fall of 1976, a fan by the name of Bob Oots decided that there needed to be a trophy for the game. He and some of his bowling buddies designed a trophy and chipped in $50 each towards the $500 cost to have the trophy made. Oots also created a fictional organization called the Greater Des Moines Athletic Club. There was a football player and a football on top of the trophy. The logos of each school were also included on the front. The Hawkeyes' Herky the Hawk and the Cyclones' Cy the Cardinal. It was only natural that the new trophy would be called the Cy-Hawk Trophy. However, the schools were not impressed with the unsolicited trophy, so Oots took it to Iowa Governor Robert Ray for his endorsement. Governor Ray supported the trophy mainly because he had a daughter enrolled at Iowa and another daughter enrolled at Iowa State. He agreed to present the trophy to the winning team after the 1977 game. Now, the schools had no choice but to endorse the new Cy-Hawk Trophy. When the 1977 game was played, the Iowa State team actually had the words "Beat Iowa" printed on the front of their jerseys. But it was Iowa who won the game 12-10. Iowa once again continued to dominate the series, winning 15 straight games between 1983 and 1997. The original Cy-Hawk Trophy was used until 2011. That's when a new trophy, with a corporate sponsor, was unveiled. It was nicknamed the Pewter Family on social media, and everyone hated it. It was never used, and an interim trophy was quickly created. But that trophy lasted just one game, as it was broken during the post-game celebration. The current trophy has been in use since 2012. The original trophy is now back with Bob Oots and the fictional Greater Des Moines Athletic Club. The Cy-Hawk Trophy may not have started out as a tradition that the two schools wanted, but it has certainly been embraced by fans and the teams ever since the series was reestablished in 1977.
Yeah, this is a trophy I might have heard about, might have known about, but good to finally hear the story.
Yeah, I'd never heard the story of how it was, created by fans and basically shoved onto the teams. But the trophy that they play for today is a different trophy, but it's still called the Cy-Hawk Trophy, and It's got a great tradition. So it was a very interesting story to research and to talk about this week. Okay, upcoming events calendar. October 10th, the New York Jets are going to be taking on the Atlanta Falcons in London, England at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A week later, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London on October 17th. And those are the only two NFL games in London this year. They don't have a Mexico game or anything else, so those are it for overseas games. They're both going to be like at 9:30 in the morning. So.
Yeah.
Get your
early
breakfast,
football fix.
Get your breakfast ready for that. A big stack of French toast maybe, and English muffins.
Well, on that October 17th game, I'll probably be in Detroit. I got a game that day I'm going to.
Oh, really?
So,
okay. You'll miss that altogether then.
Well, I can listen to it on the radio.
I'll have an extra English muffin for you.
Yeah.
And then November 20th is the end of the CFL's shortened 14-game regular season, and those are our upcoming events.
Yeah.
For
now that we're in the full swing of the NFL and season, CFL season still in the middle of it.
Yep.
We just finished the indoor football league season. College football is going.
Yep.
So not a lot of upcoming events really to focus on until some playoffs start.
Games every weekend.
Yeah.
This is the big time of the year. So
it was great. What a great weekend of football all across the board.
No matter what kind of football you like, if it's high school, college, pee-wee football, if you got grandkids or whatever, your own kids playing football, there's football everywhere. And all you got to do is look for it and pick out a favorite team and just enjoy the season.
Or pick out a favorite nephew or niece grandkid.
That's right. I got a nephew down in Indiana that's kicking field goals.
Field goals, yeah, he is.
I got to get down there too. Hopefully it'll happen.
Our schedules have just been crazy lately. You and me both.
Yeah.
Me more so than you. I mean, you don't do nothing half the time. So.
What's
your excuse?
It's mid-September and the weather is still gorgeous here.
I know, right?
They're calling for 90 degrees this weekend. Yes.
Maybe I should go camping again.
Summer is definitely holding on. Maybe one more trip to Lake Michigan before the season's over with?
Let's not count on it. Maybe. We'll see.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast, and I can't see why you wouldn't, about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also follow our Twitter account, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, which is what I'm going to have to work on as soon as the show's over. Mm-hmm. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so please subscribe, rate, review, give us all your feedback. We take anything to help improve it and make the content that you guys want to see.
Yep.
So yeah, come be a part of the football conversation, you guys.
Once again, we're doing our weekly NFL picks, and this year they're available exclusively on our YouTube channel. We'll be recording those here shortly. And so look for them every Thursday throughout the NFL season on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, or I've been kind of already tweaking and working on that one. Seeing where we were right and wrong has been a lot of fun.
You're not going to make me look stupid during the NFL picks this week, are you?
You just hate the sound of that buzzer sound when you get to a wrong pick, don't you? Pretty much.
And remember, folks, some people love football, or they may love football more than we do. It's hard to think about that. But nobody loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm a 2 out of 3 fantasy football winning team owner, Adam Snow.
No more fantasy football talk, please. We'll see you all next week.